in the mailbox right now, so don't know why this is any entertaining information, but just wanted to let you guys know in case if I die soon, it's probably because of a motorcycle accident. Anyways, so in past episodes we talked about Michael Jackson's "Leaving Nevermind" and documentary, and we talked about the R. Kelly thing and everything. And Laureline and I have even gotten to a small little tiff over it, but we're fine now. We're fine. But I just got some news today, and you're gonna be seeing me watching my phone because Laureline usually sits here with a laptop and does all the research and stuff. And since my Loreline's not here anymore, I got to do it on my phone by myself. It's very scary. But I found an article. It's by Newsfeed, and it was written by David Cohen about Leaving Nevermind director backtracks after lies in the documentary exposed. Lies exposed. So it turns out that in the documentary, one of the guys who claims to be abused by Michael Jackson, James Safechuck, I'm assuming he's the guy that nobody really cares that much about. But James Safechuck claimed that in the documentary, Michael Jackson would abuse him at the Neverland Ranch, and hold on. Do I keep saying Nevermind? Oh no. Leaving Nevermind? I think I did. Leaving Neverland. So James Safechuck claims that in the documentary that he was abused at the ranch, train stations more specifically, and it turns out that somebody said he said that he was abused during the times of 1988 and 1992, and somebody found out that the ranch wasn't even built, wasn't even done until after 92. In fact, I believe, let me, without reading this whole thing, skim through here, but basically said that during the time that he claimed, the Neverland Ranch was still under construction until 94. And so yeah, it says here, in the last couple hours, I've been given access to the Santa Barbara County construction permits for the Neverland train station by my source. It was approved September 2nd, 1993. So it wasn't even built. In fact, my phone is not on. This is how unprepared I am when I don't have my partners here, my co-hosts. Yeah, so it wasn't even built. It just got approved for this train station on September 2nd, 1993. And then there's a bunch of other lies that it goes into. So I'm just kind of sitting here going, you know, so is James just kind of like jumping onto the thing? Like, is he saying, oh yeah, Michael Jackson abused me, thinking he's gonna get airtime and money and interviews and all that shit? Just kind of like how a lot of these like people with the Me Too movement is doing it. They're just kind of so, oh, I want to get interviews and talk to and become famous and all that shit. I don't know. I can't say that he wasn't abused. I mean, I guess I could say if anything, he just got his times mixed up, which is kind of shitty in today's age, where you're going to be accusing somebody of something and you have your timelines fucked up. So that's one. That's just one thing I wanted to kind of talk about, and of course I'm talking about it to just Loreline, who's just lurking in the chat. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get into a thing where I don't want to say like the Me Too movement is just a bunch of people who are trying to jump onto the wagon and just trying to get their like 10 seconds of fame or whatever. And let me just move this right there. Because I think there's a lot of abusers out there and there's a lot of victims out there and um but I also feel like there's a lot of people who also see like, oh, hey, she's getting all this attention or he's getting all this attention and they're getting interviews and probably getting paid for time on shows and stuff like that. It's just very weird, very weird. Um, you'd think though the HBO, like it was HBO who made the documentary. You think that they would fact check. I feel like somebody kind of dropped the ball when they're like, well, let's just completely go off of what these two guys say. Because obviously they were abused and they know everything correctly. And another thing is, um, you know, if these guys were abused by Michael Jackson at such a very young age, I would really really doubt that they would know exactly what time, like what date, you know. um I mean, for one, they're kids, and kids don't just go, "Oh, oh my God, I can't believe we had so much fun. I'm gonna write this down in my journal at this date, or I'm gonna write this down on my calendar. Oh, I had fun with Michael Jackson and Train Station." No, I don't think kids do that. Um, but then again, you should also kind of like, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of like contradicting myself. I guess you should know a, a pretty good general idea of what time. Like obviously it didn't. If it was '94, it didn't happen in '92. That's 2 years. That's fucking 2 years. I mean, if anything, you could have just said the early '90s or the mid '90s or whatever. I don't know. I guess I'm coaching people on how to fucking say their timelines. Uh, but HBO should have they should have fact checked. They should have the ranch was open at this time, and this is when the kids were there. Maybe it was during a time where it wasn't open publicly, but Michael Jackson was still letting people, friends and family onto the property. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. It's kind of hard though. It's kind of one of those things where you're like, you watch something and go, "Oh, that's horrible. That's tragic. I can't believe that happened." And then somebody comes down and goes, "Actually, that didn't happen." Or they pull some kind of like fault in the story, and then you're like, "Oh, well, what about the rest of the story? Like, is it? Do I believe it now? Like, I don't know. Did Michael Jackson touch all those kids? I don't know. I have no idea." Very, very strange. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring that to the podcast because it was kind of like a heavy subject here on the podcast between Laureline and I. Um, just that like kind of like abusing artists, abusing people. Um, I also had something that I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, let me really quick. Um, find that. Oh, there goes my camera. That's how much I'm paying attention. Did I tell you this podcast was going to be a train wreck? I don't think I did. People do that deliberately though to make people doubt someone's story. I mean, yeah, I know there's a lot of people who like to poke holes in stories and stuff deliberately, but if somebody comes out and has actual evidence, like they actually showed the documents that were approving the Neverline train station at certain dates, and they tweeted it and everything, and it's like now it's like publicly like out there for people to go see. So I guess if you can poke a hole in a story and have undisputable evidence that that's a hole in the story, then I think it should be poked. I think that hole should be poked in the story. Um, I don't, I don't know. I don't know what to say other than like I guess that sucks. There it is. Okay. That they wasted all that time and that money and people kind of got into an outrage and now it's kind of like okay, well, what is it like? What is it? Is it did he do it? Did he not do it? Did he not do it with this kid? Maybe it's just this guy jumping on the fucking bandwagon, or maybe this guy doesn't have his information straight. Maybe this group of people don't have their information straight, which they really should have. You'll poke my hole. They really should have all their information facts straight before you go making a documentary about that. Because it's a shame on you for just saying, oh well, people are definitely gonna believe whatever we say and not worry about the facts, and then go fucking diminish somebody like that. Like you can't go making a documentary and say, oh yeah, Michael Jackson definitely touched these kids. Here's some photos with Michael Jackson with kids. But they're not in the photos. There's nothing really that bad going on, so you just have to take our word on top of the photos. I'm not saying Michael Jackson didn't or did do it. I'm just saying it's kind of hard now to distinguish who's telling the truth. It's kind of hard now to distinguish whether or not that documentary was just supposed to fucking smudge Michael Jackson's what do you call reputation, or if it was made to get out the actual information, the actual story of the children. They were just letting them tell their stories, and that's great. Telling their stories. I totally want them to tell their stories. If they live this terrible, long, painful life of having the secret that Michael Jackson did this to them or whatever, and they want now they feel safe enough that they should do it, and I feel like that they should. But I also feel like if you're gonna do it, make sure make sure you're telling the full and factual truth. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse right now, but yeah. But I also wanted to kind of talk about, along with this Me Too like thing, it's apparent now that Joe Biden has come out and said he's going to run for president. He's starting to be in the public eye a little bit, and now somebody has gone and basically said, "Well, Joe Biden, you're a scumbag dude who talks and touches people." So like, there's the cringy photos where he's like sniffing women's hair and he's like in little girls' face and giving them kisses and stuff like that. And there's even one like by Anonymous who said that there was 13 cringy moments with Joe Biden, which was at the time when he was at the fucking, I don't know, I guess the White House or whatever, and there's a bunch of like families with like children and stuff going to meet him, and he was like, oh, look at you, how old are you? And, oh, I'm 16. And then he turns to the brother and he goes, oh, you better keep a good eye out. You don't want them boys to be touching your sister. And I get it, it's a little cringy. But it's like old man cringy, like old man from a different time when that shit wasn't cringy. I mean, it's not like he's like, I don't know. I guess I don't want to be like, it's okay to kiss little girls and sniff hair or whatever. I mean, the sniffing hair is actually really fucking cringy, but it's still kind of like that, like seeing your grandpa like still living in the old times. It's still weird. And I guess if they were to come out and say, "Oh, well, he abused this woman, or he abused these children, or whatever," then I'd probably have a different story about it. But it's just he's got weird first impressions with women and little girls, and I will admit those are very weird and cringy. But I'd also be like, I see my grandpa doing that shit all the time. I see my uncle doing that shit, and it's wrong. But I'm saying like, let's can we are we gonna pick out everyone? Are we gonna pick out everyone who just like looks at somebody like cringy? Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just a little hurt because I like kind of want Joe Biden to be the president because I think he's kind of a cool guy. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know that much about his history or whatever, and I guess I'm not aware of any stories of him doing something abusive towards people. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and talk to you guys, and also pull up the next thing I want to talk about on my phone. It's very hard. So that was it's kind of my thing. It's a little rant on the Me Too movement. It's just kind of like we're gonna just go after every fucking dude who is in some kind of the spotlight in the public eye. And just like, well, that guy's fucking, that guy's an asshole because he sneezed on me. He sneezed in my general direction on the subway, and that just offended me. I don't know. I think we're taking this Me Too thing a little too far. I think there's a lot of people who are just jumping on the bandwagon, and I definitely recognize that there's some people who need to be, dealt with or taken out of the spotlight. But then I also think there's a lot of people who I don't think is very like that rash or that harsh. Um, I also think that there's just people who um, get accused of things that aren't. The whole Bill Cosby thing. Yeah, that was terrible, and he deserved what he should have gotten. The whole Louis C.K. Thing. It turned out, it came out later that he was having like sexual text messages between the women and stuff, and stuff, and it wasn't like he just like forced them into the room and then locked them in and stuff like that. It turned out like he just, he unfortunately decided to make a terrible decision and whip his penis out and started masturbating in front of them. And yeah, that was probably a no-no if they didn't want to, if they didn't want that. But I mean, these stories come out and they make it sound like, oh well, he fucking like he grabbed her up, took her to his room, he locked her in the room, and then he like forced her to watch him do it, and wouldn't let her go until he finished. Excuse me. Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm in like shark infested waters right now, especially because Loreline's not here to like stop me from saying something stupid or talking about something stupid. But I guess when I'm by myself, this is all I got is just something to rant about. Do I think Louis C.K. Was wrong in what he did? Yeah, I think he was wrong. But I think a lot of it also was, people don't get the full story, and people don't let them have a path to redemption. Um, honestly, I would like to see Louis C.K. come back and be a comedian and say, you know what, it was a terrible idea, or it was a terrible thought, it was a terrible action. I apologize. I am working on myself. I am working with therapists or whatever. But I'm also a funny motherfucker who wants to stand on fucking stage and make you laugh. And I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah, okay. Louis C.K. was on the top, and he was one of my favorites. And he lost all his stand up. He lost up all his specials. He lost his shows. He lost his movies. He was working on an independent movie, and then all of a sudden that went to fucking hell. His role in like Pets or whatever was replaced. I'm pretty sure. Like, I think that's why the second one was more focused on the cat than him. So, and I think they just replaced the voice actor. They just didn't give him much lines. Um, I love Louis C.K. It's like hearing a loved one fucked up. And for me, it's like hearing a loved one fucked up, and you're like, dude, you fucked up, but you got to get better, and you got to get back on your feet. I don't want to. I don't want to fucking. I don't know what to say. I don't want to see you in this situation. I don't want to see this anymore. What you did was shit. It was terrible. But I think if you take steps towards redemption, and you apologize for your actions, and you don't do it again, you're fine. You'll be known as the guy who whipped his dick out, but you also be like, that's the funny motherfucker who whipped his dick out one time, and whatever. It's just like Eddie Murphy had a fucking transsexual fucking prostitute. Nobody gave a shit about that, like that much. They didn't give enough shit to where they're like, I don't want to see Eddie Murphy anymore. I don't want to see him in comedy. I don't want to see him in movies anymore. We fucking love Eddie Murphy. And where the fuck are you, Eddie Murphy? Where the fuck are you? Do you just come out for Shrek fucking movies? Like, what the fuck? Be in some more fucking movies. Come out with a fucking stand-up fucking tour special or whatever. Come out from fucking hiding off your goddamn island, and let's see where the fuck you've been, and make us fucking laugh. Did you lose your funny bone? Did you lose it, man? Come. I want to see Louis C.K. again. I want to see Eddie Murphy again. I'm just saying, some dudes in this Me Too thing deserve it, and some dudes, the actions that they do, or the people that they hurt and the way they hurt them, or the amount of people that they hurt them, they deserve to be taken out of the spotlight and all that stuff, and deserve what they get. But some of them, it's like an isolated incident, or just something that made somebody uncomfortable at one time, and then they get fucking banished from the land. You're banished from the land. It's very weird. So that's my little rant on the Me Too thing. You can disagree with me, I totally get it. In fact, you can put it in the comments. You can email me. You can even join me here on the fucking show, and we can debate it, or we can have a discussion about it. I'd love to. I earlier today tried to get some people onto the podcast, and I know it was last minute, and they just couldn't. So now I'm here by myself. So I'm left to ranting. But if you'd like to be on the show in a future show, or even later in this show, if even though it's just Loreline that I'm talking to, just let me know. So I saw another article on Facebook, and it was about, I don't know how true it is. That's the problem with Facebook. That's the problem, especially when it comes to me. I get an article on Facebook or Twitter, and I'm like, oh my god, this is absolutely true, and it's not absolutely true. And Loreline usually points that out to me. She always, Cord, you're a fucking dumbass. This isn't a reputable source, or this is like um, this is from the far right trying to trick people, or this is from the far left trying to trick people, or whatever, or it's a hoax. I often find hoax, and I'm like, Julie, did you hear this? Oh my god. She's like, you're a fucking retard. Or, sorry, I'm not supposed to use the R word. You're a fucking mentally hilarious person, as Musty has told me, has corrected me into saying. This article was written by Dewey Lineman. I think that's what it is. Lienemann. I think it's Lineman or Linman. I think it's Lineman because the I is before the. Anyways, Linman. There you go. I'm just sounding completely mentally hilarious. Caught myself. There we go. So this guy's he's Webster. He was an educator at the Webster County of Nebraska Extensions, educator at Blue Hill Community School, agriculture educator at Logan View Public Schools, an educator at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, as well as the agricultural education at UNL. He went to Wilcox High School and lives in Blue Hill, Nebraska. So this guy apparently has got some fucking... Obviously he was a professor. And he released an article today, and it's been going around kind of America that we're supposed to be surrendering our firearms. Not all of them, I think most of them, like with bump stocks or whatever. Anyways, he wrote a pretty lengthy fucking article. The firearm confiscation orders, which has been going around in the United States. And, yeah, so apparently Nebraska has now made a confiscation order. So it says today, Nebraska State Judiciary Committee heard Legislative Bill 58 and may bring up for a vote soon. LB 58 would allow Second Amendment rights to be suspended following baseless accusations without due process. I see this as a very dangerous bill for many reasons and a direct attack on our Second Amendment rights and for sure our Fourth Amendment rights, commonly called the red flag gun law. Please study what a ramifications of the bill can be and take action or later wish you had. This is all written by Dewey, by the way, who I said before was a professor. Legislation Bill 58 introduces a Senate Adam Moorfield LD 46 would create extreme risk protection orders, or ERPO, to allow Second Amendment rights to be suspended following an ex parte hearing of where respondent is not present to defend against allegations made against them. Upon the insurance of an ERPO, a law enforcement would be allowed to search for and seize firearms possessed by the respondent. An ERPO would be issued not because a person has been convicted of a crime or adjudicate mentally ill, but instead on these third-party allegations. See, this is the problem, is when I'm trying to read something that a smart man wrote, and I am not a smart man, so he's going to put smart people words in here, and you're going to hear me completely just stumble and murder all over them. So, stick with me, please. The standard is not whether there is probable cause to believe that the gun owner has committed a crime as Jesus Christ, it just spit all over my screen. Constitutions, I'm so stupid, would seem to require. Rather, the standard is some subjective determination whether the owner of the gun represents some danger. It could even be triggered by things other than real threat or danger. For instance, spite, revenge, or other nefarious reasons. Ooh, I got that one. Nefarious. There's a The legislation lacks strong due process protections, contains low evidentiary standards, and falls well below the norm for following fundamental constitutional rights. Please contact members of your judicial committee and your state senate and urge them to oppose LB 58. Why red flag gun laws are dangerous. 1. There is no convictions required to confiscate the gun owner's firearm. 2. There is no arrest of the gun owner being accused. 3. There is no indictment of the gun owner being accused. There is only no notification that the gun owner's firearms are about to be confiscated. I already did that. And 5. The police show up. The last one was 4. This one 5. The police show up at your door and confiscate your firearms with no due process. Red flag laws fly in the face of everything our judicial system was designed to do. Protect your innocence until you are proven guilty in a court of law. Most importantly, to protect your Second and Fourth Amendment rights, just say no to the LB 58. Member of Judicial Committee, which is handling this bill, are Senate Steve Lathrop, Chairperson Senator Patty Pansing Brooks, Vice Chair Senate Tom Brandant, Senator Ernie Chambers, Senator Wendy DeBoer, Senator Adam Moorfeld, key sponsor, and Senator Julie Slama, Senator Justin Wayne. So, I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if this is just like a hoax. I assume that it could be true because it's a dude who, it's a professor, goes to UNL, or works. He says he's retired, and he's an agricultural professor. So I don't know. I don't know why does I guess. I don't understand why an agricultural professor would be so worried about this. Because it looked like it's about basically personal firearms, like handguns and non-hunting tools. So I don't know. Please make, everyone in the comments are all, oh gosh, this is terrible. I can't believe this is happening. Then, you got people like, LB 58, you can shove that right up your ass. How do I feel about it? I don't. I've been hearing like other states doing this, where people show up and they ask for your guns or they confiscate it for your guns. I don't know. Like I said before, I'm totally fine with people having a personal protection weapon, such as a handgun. I've said in the past it shouldn't be more than 9 bullets. Really, 9 is too much to me. Is already too much. Look up the bill by Adam Moorfield. I will look up this bill. 9 bullets to me is already too much. But I think that's kind of like a standard like clip in a handgun. I'm more of kind of like a guy who, I had a Glock once, and it had 9 bullets, and then I went to a revolver and it had 7 bullets. I had 6 bullets. I don't know why I said 7. Let's see. Bill by Adam Moore. My fat fingers. I don't know why I put a U there. Fail. Okay. I think handguns. I wouldn't say there should be a limit. I do feel like 1 or 2 being like a little overkill. I think 1 is good enough for your home. Um, more, is it Morfeld or Field? Is there an I in there? Because I'm getting Feld, Morfeld. Um, I think that before I read this, I think that handguns, if they're not like equipped to kill a fucking small army, I think they're fine for home protection. I think you should just have a standard handgun. You don't need a fucking laser. You don't need a camera warning. Oh, thank you, Laureline. You don't need fucking. You could put a flashlight. You could put, even if you want a laser, I guess you can have that. But you don't need like a fucking red dot sight on your goddamn Glock. Um, I think it should be put up in a lockbox or a safe. I think that it should also have a fucking lock for the trigger or whatever, because just for the children's safety that we hear so many times, like we said in the last podcast with Zombie Foot Gang or Zombie Foot J, or commonly known as Musty, that you hear so many times that your kids get a hold of the guns and then all of a sudden they're shooting mom, or they're shooting dad, or they're shooting themselves. I hear stories all the time in America where they find daddy's gun and they're like, oh hey look, let's play cops and robbers, and then they like pew 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 pow, and they fucking shoot their little brother in the face, and the kid dies, and it's a sad fucking story. It really is. So if you can be a responsible gun owner and have your personal protection responsibly locked away, all by all means. I even like the idea that Musty came up last episode, where you should prove, like the Japanese do, you should earn your right to have a gun. You should prove that I am a responsible person and I will responsibly take care of this firearm, and make sure that not only am I protecting my family from it, but I'm also I can protect my family responsibly with it. I also think that you should be able to have a hunting rifle or a hunting shotgun. That should be responsibly locked away in a gun safe when you're not hunting with them. But the whole fucking AR-15, the fucking military grade sniper rifles for, well, God knows what you need that for. I hear a lot of times everyone go, "Oh, I use it for hunting." Well, Jesus Christ! I mean, part of the reason you will go hunting is they get a fucking chance, right? They get a fucking chance to run away, right? I mean, I never liked the idea of sport hunting. Like, I'm just gonna hunt for sport. I just like shooting things. That's fucking ridiculous to me. If you're gonna hunt, you are gonna hunt the permitted animal that you are permitted to fire upon, and you're gonna fucking use the goddamn carcass. You're gonna eat the meat. You're gonna do whatever with the pelt. You're gonna do what you're gonna use the carcass. You're gonna use the body. Just shooting animals just for the fucking fun of it. I fucking hate that so much. I really do. Um, but I don't think it should be any more than that. Personal protection, one or two handguns, maybe a hunting rifle, one or two, or a shotgun. But people, these people over here with their fucking got a fucking basement full of fucking guns. They got a fucking small cache for a fucking small military army. It's absolutely fucking insane. Why? Why do you need all those? You don't even use them. You pick like one or two of them that's your favorites, and then the rest just sit in your fucking basement. Why? Why do you need a fucking giant fucking stash of ammo? You know? Uh, so to come back to this whole what was it, LB-58 or something, to come back to that and hear that they're confiscating people's weapons, I think I don't know. I think you should have those, but I'm also kind of like, maybe we should do the Australian thing. Maybe we should do what they do in Europe or Britain or whatever. Maybe the public doesn't need. Okay, Seinfeld. Thank you. Um, Maybe we don't need um, guns that it, it's too much heartache. It's too much. I mean, I get the idea. I see memes all the time where it's like, "Oh, hey, you're not supposed to have that. Those are illegal now. You can't." There was a drawing I saw where a guy was getting stuck up with a revolver, and the guy's like, "Oh, hey, you can't do that. That gun's illegal now. You can't own that. You can't be robbing me right now." And he's like, "Oh, dang." You know, he's like, "How'd you get that?" And it's like, I get the point. I get it. Even if we make guns illegal, guns are still going to come in here, and people are still going to do crimes illegally with ghost guns and illegal guns and stuff. When they scratch off the serial number, they buy it in a back alley, and they go and they do crimes. I get that. But I don't really get the whole argument. Well, everyone should just be armed then. Like, well, if they're going to get guns, we're going to get guns too. And then we're all going to be safe. Well, that's how it is now. And we're not all safe. That's how, it, I'm not a very smart man, so I don't know exactly how to prove this argument or make a good stance with it. But I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of people getting hurt. There's a lot of shootings. There's a lot of people who are accidentally getting hurt. And there's also a lot of easily accessed weapons. A lot of crimes do happen where somebody just goes to a gun store and they legally buy a gun. A lot of crimes happen where they go to a gun show and they, for some stupid ass loophole, get a gun with no background checks. Um, at the very least, I think this country should have a stricter process on how to get a gun. Um, I think there should be psych evals. I think there should be if there's any criminal record of any violent criminal record that you shouldn't have. You just proved why we're not safe now. Exactly. My son's alarm's going off. He still hasn't changed that. Anyways. Um yeah, I think strict psych evals, proof that if there was no violent criminal activity in the past, um I think there should be a huge waiting period. I guess not a huge waiting period, but there used to be like a 3 day waiting period, and even now I think it's less than that. Um, when I bought my revolver, it was so fucking simple. I just bought it offline, and I had to have it shipped to a pawn shop, and then I had to go in with my permit and the money, because apparently there's a fucking fee for holding onto your revolver. Um, and that was it. The guy was like, "Oh, it looks like you moved." Yeah, I did move. And he's like, "Well, you should go get a new permit and come back, and then we can give this to you." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Went to the sheriff's office, said, "I moved. I'd like to update my permit." And they're like, "Oh, no problem." And they just put my new address on it and went back to the pawn store, and boom, got my gun. And it was simple as that. I don't have guns anymore. I got rid of my guns because I felt like I even felt when it was locked up that it still wasn't safe enough. And I also, I went through depression and a bunch of shit, and I just kind of like I don't want to say like I just knew I was gonna like shoot myself, but I just kind of, when I was in the depression state, I think the smartest thing I said to myself was I should just probably get rid of this, just in case. I wasn't planning on going there, but I was just like, stranger things have happened. So I got rid of all my guns. I have a shotgun now, and I'm planning on getting rid of it soon. So that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like a lot of people are going to go, well, that's just stupid that a lot of Americans are going to go, that's just stupid getting rid of all your guns. What if a robber shows up or whatever? If a robber shows up, I can't really tell you guys that I have some kind of strategic plan. But even if your robber showed up, if I had a gun, according to law, I would have to unlock my safe, unlock the gun, the trigger lock, and then have the loaded clip separate out of the gun. I had to put that in. Then I had to stumble around in the dark and then hope to find some guy with a flashlight like going through my fucking shit, like, oh, stop right there, and then I shoot him. And there is a law where if somebody enters your property and you don't want them there, that you are allowed to shoot them on your property. But I don't think even after that, I don't think I could live with myself if I killed somebody. My brother used to be homeless, and he had to do a lot of things just to survive off the street, and there are terrible things, and I'm not standing up for his actions at all, because they were terrible actions. He shouldn't have done it. But he had to lie and cheat and steal and break entries and break into people's cars, and he broke into a family member's house of all places to steal just so he can survive. And you don't know what that guy's going through. Maybe he's just stealing because he wants to make a bunch of money and blah blah blah, and that's his career. Maybe he's stealing because he's trying to survive on the street. I wouldn't live with myself if somebody like my brother, who's just trying to find something just to get a meal and a place to stay, and I killed him. I couldn't live with myself. And a lot of Americans will go, "Oh, I could live with myself taking down a criminal. I could do it. I'm like a Texas Ranger. I could do it." And a lot of people can. A lot of people can't. I don't think I'm mentally strong enough to do it. And I am definitely not mentally strong enough to have a gun in my house and my kid find it and goes, "Oh, hey, Dad, guess what? You're the robber," and he shoots me, or he shoots himself just fucking examining it because he has no idea how to handle a gun, or he shoots his mother. That's just terrible, terrible fucking shit right there. So to come back, because I'm just ranting on and on and on, to come back to this thing. Hearing about people getting their guns confiscated, I'm kind of on the fence on it. Do I think, I guess I'm leaning towards kind of like, well, do you really need the gun? Do we really need the guns? This thing that Laureline shared with me, Senator Adam Morfeld, District 46. The content of these pages is developed and maintained by... Oh, okay. I'm not going to read that shit. Okay. Here's this. Thank you for visiting the website. It is our honor to represent the people of the 46th Legislative District of Nebraska unicameral legislature. You'll find the contact information right side of the page. Blah, blah, blah. Why am I... Where's this bill? Is this the bill? This is this is his contact page. I don't want that. Do you know what the bill was, Laureline? That you wanted me to read by Adam Morfield? Fact of the SEC. Report Nebraska Center has introduced a new legislation that would restore net neutrality. Is that the one you wanted me to talk about? Net neutrality? I mean, I guess it's here. Let's fucking The bill is called the Internet Neutrality Act, and it will repeal recent decisions by the FCC, which are voted along party lines to get rid of the net neutrality, opening up an opportunity for internet service providers to determine what sites consumers would have access to. Well, this guy's just a little fucking cunt bag. Um, Bundle pack. It limits service speeds and certain customers and for certain customers and bundle packages to increase the amount they could charge. Oh wow, this guy is instantly not my favorite. No, that's terrible. It's always funny. It's always funny when you see the gun bill. Okay, so it's not. It's funny when you see the person. They got a picture of this smug motherfucker, and it's just some fucking asshole who's just trying to get some fucking money. It's just some young guy who's just trying to get rich. Let me type in gun bill. Gun bill by. There we go. Oh, here it offers red flag. Lincoln Senator offers red flag to take guns from people at extreme risk. No one around the country has the red flag, considered by 29 states to adopt by 13 of them. Thursday in Nebraska, this one called Extreme Risk Protection Order Act to enable. Why this ad is like 3/4 of my screen? Get out of here. Sorry. He just explaining what net neutrality is, not that he supports it. Okay. Okay, well, I didn't read the whole thing, so I just assumed that he was trying to put it back in place. To remove firearms from people at high risk of harming themselves or others, Morfield said that. Morfield said that in drafting the bill, he worked with the law enforcement and the students who planned the particular participated in the March for Our Lives rally in 2018. Captain Kevin Gringer of the Sharpie County Sheriff's Office said in the news release the protection order would be critical to removing weapons. Let me get my camera going. Removing weapons from people during mental health crisis, law enforcement and courts could keep communities safer while protecting due process rights for those gun owners. A court process would ensure that the protection order is used only in extreme cases with proof that the person is dangerous and has access to firearms. As a gun owner and an attorney, this is the critical component for me, Morfield said. Law enforcement students. There I go, spitting on my screen again. Law enforcement students and my constituents have. I think that's what that is. Have made clear the need to have safeguards to ensure those found to be suffering from severe mental illness and individuals who pose an immediate threat to do not have access to firearms after an emergency courthouse hearing. A petition for the extreme risk protection order must allege the person possesses the significant risk of causing injury and has a firearm. It must be accompanied by an affidavit made under oath with statements, actions, or facts that give rise to the reasonable fear of future dangerous acts by the person. It also must identify firearms the person is believed to have, what other protection orders have been issued if known. This legislation could make an immediate impact on our community, which means generations to come wouldn't have to worry about the threat of a mass shooting, first and foremost in their schools, but also in communities. Boston said. Is it Bowson or Boston? I don't know. Lincoln High School student, blah blah blah, said the law. I'm not saying blah 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 to protect them. I'm saying blah 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 because it's a name that I know I'm not going to pronounce. But I guess I'll try. Balthiana Abraham. 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 It's with an E. It's very. Said the law could dim the culture of school shootings and ignorance to gun violence in America. In an email statement, a spokesman for the National Rifle Association, or NRA, said the NRA supports risk protection orders that respect due process of rights and provide care for those found mentally ill. But most passed last year do not. Not only do they fail to provide any sort of mental health treatment, but they allow the statement to deny law-abiding gun owners their due process of rights. If the state could deny due process to these law-abiding residents, then what's to stop them from denying any rights of any group of any people? Said Catherine Mortensen with the NRA. Well, after reading that, I don't know if he's that bad of a guy. I don't know, unless I'm understanding that wrong. He's basically saying that people who have mental illness or history of mental illness and have violent tendencies should not have a gun. And I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I mean, it just makes complete sense to me that, if you have a mental illness, right now and you try to go get a gun, you're not allowed to get the gun. At least that's how I believe it is, or at least that's how I'm told it is. If you have a mental illness and you go to a gun store and say, I'd like to buy this gun, and they're like, oh, okay, let me check your history. Let me do a background check. Oh, it looks like you were in the loony bin. You just got out. He's like, yeah, what of it? What of it? No, I can't sell this gun to you. You're crazy. You got mental illness. So yeah, I think that's right. I mean, but I think a lot of people are worried that if they're able to just come to your door and take it, they're just going to take it from a lot of people who are able to who don't have mental illness, or whatever. Let me check chat real quick. Nebraska has a unicameral government, only one house. The IB number that the professor responded to. There's no database for mental health. No way to check. What do you mean? There's no way of checking to see if somebody has a mental illness? I thought in the background checks that they could do that. I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know, and there's a lot of things I just assume. I am not a great source of information. Conservatives are worried that anything will qualify them to take their guns. So I guess that's the worry. That they can just show up to your house and say, yeah, well, you got a fucking cat, so you can't have this gun. I guess, that's pretty shitty. Yeah, there's a lot of dead air. I guess can you find out if somebody has mental illness? Unless they publicly say it. I don't know if you can. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about this. I definitely think though that if you have mental illness or violent tendencies, or I even think if you if you go on Twitter and say something like terroristic threat or something terroristic, that they should just take it away. For what mental illness do you draw the line? ADHD, depression, etc. Well, I mean, if we went by ADHD and depression, nobody would have a gun. Because I believe everyone goes through that stuff. And like, who's gonna go? Oh, I'm depressed. I better hand over my gun, just so when they come out of depression, they go, okay, better get my gun back, or better go get another gun. Maybe if you're clinically depressed, I mean, I guess even then, someone would be like, well, then that sorry asshole who went to the doctor to find out if he's depressed doesn't get his gun anymore. Um, I don't think anybody. I personally don't feel like anybody who is depressed should have a gun, and that's one of the main reasons why I got rid of my gun. Was because I was depressed and I was just being proactive and looking forward. Like, I don't need this here. I don't need this here when I'm going through this. I don't need this at all, really. Um, break-ins happen a lot. Crimes happen a lot, but and I sound like a very stupid man if I say that a break-in wouldn't happen to me or a crime wouldn't happen to me. But we live in a safe world, or a safe country. Um, so it doesn't happen like every day. It's not a third world country where somebody's just coming in to steal your shit and kill your people. Um, it's fairly safe. What about if you don't go to a doctor or can't afford one? So basically, you're saying, what if you have it, but it's not on paper or in your on your record? Basically, like, you don't go to a doctor and it's not on your medical record or anything. Um, that's a loophole. I if it's something that if you have to go to a um if you have to go to an asylum or a mental institution, if it's something where the doctor says you're clinically depressed, you're like severely depressed, yeah. But when it comes to the people who get through the cracks, who don't go to the doctors, who don't or can't afford one, um, I think, in all honesty, maybe we should make it so if you want a gun, if you want to buy a gun, you want to own a gun, you have to go to a doctor. You have to get a psych eval, and you have to get a psych eval. And I know a lot of people are going to go, well, that's just an infringement, or stepping on my um, privacy or whatever. I don't know. But when it comes to owning something that is lethal to yourself and others, I think you need to prove that you are in the right state of mind. I think you need to prove that you can be responsible with the gun. I think maybe ownership classes should happen. It's just like my motorcycle. You can buy the motorcycle, but you can't drive it in the streets until you have the license. And so there's classes on how to drive the motorcycle. And then once you pass the class to drive the motorcycle, then you can go get your license. Um, it's still a little bit looser than what I'd like it to be. Not for the motorcycle, but basically, like, if we're gonna apply this to the gun idea, I think that you should, if you want to get a gun, before you even start browsing for a gun, you should go to a gun class. You should go to a class where they go, okay, this is a gun. This is how you use a gun. This is how you clean your gun. This is how you safely lock your gun away. This is how you keep your gun out of reach of children. This is how somebody who has a gun should act around a gun. This is how somebody should think around a gun. There's classes already out there on training people how to use a gun. There's classes out there to train people how to use a gun with conceal and carry, which I think is fucking ridiculous. Conceal and carry. But there's classes out there. And then people can get permits to conceal and carry. If you can get a permit to conceal and carry, then there should be a process where you have to get a permit to actually own a gun. And there are permits to owning a gun. There's permits of buying handguns. But it's so fucking ridiculous. It's just a stupid little 5-minute step that doesn't really hinder anybody. Anybody can do it. You just go to your sheriff's office, say, "I like your gun," and they go, "Oh, well, welcome to the party. Here's your slip. Sign out where you. This is where you live. This is my name." And then, like, fucking 5 minutes later, like, "Here you go." Or, some places it's like a week later, and then you get it. And it's like, what, you gotta wait like 3 days? You gotta wait a fucking week? That's all you have to do? I think there should be an extensive thing where you go to the doctor and you say, "Let me get my camera real quick." You go to the doctor, and the doctor checks you out. Says, "Yep, you're mentally stable and you're fine to do this." And the doctor signs off. Then you take your doctor's signature and you go to the class and say, "My doctor signed off. I'd like to take a class on how to responsibly own a gun." And then you take the class. And they teach you how to responsibly own a gun, how to think, and how to use the gun, how to think around the gun, how to behave around guns. And then they go, "Okay, here's your permit. You completed this class. If you failed, you had to do the class again, or not. But if you pass, you get another slip from the instructor or whatever. It says, "Here's the doctor's signature. Here's my signature. Here you go." And you go, "Okay, now you can take these and go to the gun store." And then the gun store goes, "Oh, hey, look, you got your signatures, you got your driver's license, you got a proof of address," and then they do a criminal background on you, as they do now. And then after all those things fly, then you can get a personal protection handgun or hunting rifle. And then you get those. But I think it also should be required that, if you buy a gun, you can't just buy the gun unless you can prove that you have a lock and a locking system already. If it's your first gun, you have to get those two as well. And I know it sounds asinine. I know it sounds way too fucking strict. But I think that's where it's come to today. Where, it's come to today where people get guns so fucking easily. And people commit crimes like it's like it's nothing. I think a lot of things. I think that we should also kind of cut back on our mainstream media or movies or whatever on like how cool guns are, because I think a lot of it too is we just say like, "Oh yeah, look how fucking cool is look at this guy. He's like running in the streets, he's jumping over cars and shooting people, he's doing gun karate." I think we glorify and we make it seem so cool. And I'm not saying like we should take them out of movies. I'm not saying we should be like, "Oh, from now on it's just sword fights," or "From now on it's just lasers," or whatever. I'm just saying like maybe we should cut back on how fucking awesome guns are, A little bit, just a little bit. Because if people watch that and they go, "Oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to jump off taxi, do a flip, and then shoot somebody. That looks cool. I'm gonna try that." Anyways, everyone knows. I think I've said it like a million times. I have ADHD. I had depression. It's easy for me to get depressed. And ADD. I think a depressed person shouldn't really be getting guns or worrying about having guns. ADD and ADHD, I think, if they can do what I suggested, where they prove from a doctor and they take the classes and stuff, ADHD and ADD people aren't inherently like super crazy and like commit crimes and stuff like that. They just think differently, and they have different social um, cues and behaviors. But I think a lot of smart people have it too. So I think that we can go ahead and say if you have ADHD or ADD, as long as you can prove that you can be responsible and you're mentally stable, I mean, other than having the ADD or ADHD, then I think it should be fine. So yeah, um, I don't exactly know how this bill's gonna work though. If they can't like definitively prove that you have a mental illness, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I get it. I appreciate it. But I don't get how this bill's going to work if they can't definitively prove that you have a mental illness, and if they just show up to people's houses and go, "Oh yeah, well, you got looks like you got a little like twitch or whatever. Give us your gun." So I don't know. I think they need to tighten up the bill a little bit. You know, it's a big problem, and I know it's not. I'm not like America's favorite person for saying it, but I think guns. I used to be the guy who's like, yeah, we need our guns, we need our guns. But I just realized one day that the only reason why I liked guns is because they're loud and it's adrenaline rushing and it's fun to shoot. And like you guys seen on the Snapchat and on the Instagram, I went with my buddy to the gun range and we shot handguns at targets. I didn't own the gun. I didn't take the gun out of its locked case when I walked outside the shooting range. They're so fucking fun to shoot. They are. They're really fucking fun to shoot. You know, if you know what you're doing it safe and responsibly. They are fun. But that being said, I don't think people should be fucking walking around out in public with them. I don't think people should have an excess amount of ammo storage or rounds or faster shooting guns. Honestly, like when it comes down to it and you're in a gunfight, you really just want one or two bullets. You want your aim to be good, and you want one or two bullets, one to stop them. And America's like, no, you don't. You keep going till you know it's dead. You taking away life is the worst thing you can do. Just injuring somebody is terrible. I don't know. A lot of people are like, they were breaking in my house. I don't feel bad for them. I get that. I get it. Just saying, as a personal stance, like I don't want to hurt people and I don't want to kill people. Um, so yeah, one and done, one and done. Even if it's just one to like fucking go, boom, I got a gun, and just to scare them. Of course, everyone's gonna, what if he's gonna pull out his gun? What if he's gonna shoot at you? I get that. That's a very possible thing that could happen. And maybe that's why you want one or two. And I'm not even saying you should only have one or two bullets. I like I said before, 9 bullets in a clip should be the max. But everyone who is a educated gun owner and gun enthusiast knows that you're not going to sit there and spend all 9 of your bullets right off the bat. And everyone knows you're not going to get into this fucking Hollywood movie fucking gun battle where flip the table over, he gets behind the couch, and you're just like boom, and you guys sit there and at like a standstill for hours, going, "You gonna leave? No, I want your stuff." And then you pop out to get a fucking shot off, and then he pops out, and you duck under. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. It's so fucking quick. What happens? We got to follow. Who followed us? Oh wait, it's right here. Bling Headshot. Thanks, Bling Headshot, for following us. Um, like I was saying before, that's not going to happen. It's going to happen so quick. One of you are going to shoot at each other, and one of you is going to either get hit or one of you is going to get spooked and fucking get the fuck out of there. That's exactly how it's going to happen. Um, so that's kind of. I mean, I'm not a fucking expert. I've never been in a gun battle. I've never, the only thing I've ever done with guns is gone to the shooting range. I've had guns. I've had two handguns. They've both been locked away unless I was going to the shooting range, and then they get unlocked at the shooting range, and then I use them at the shooting range to train on target practice and to keep them clean and maintained. And to me, it was just kind of, it felt stupid having a gun that was very expensive to get just fucking sit in a safe, and then just occasionally I get it out to clean it or target practice with it. And I'm trying really hard to, and I know it might seem like it, but I'm trying really hard to not shit on people who are gun enthusiasts, because there are people who love guns and love going target training and stuff, and that's good on you. And I totally get it. It's just like me loving when I go and do archery with my compound bow. You know, I love shooting targets with my arrows. I love shooting dummy deers with my arrows, and eventually I'd like to train enough to where I can go hunting with it with my buddies. But so I totally get why people are into it. Oh, hey, look, there's the doorbell. I bet that's the neighbor kids asking if my kid's here yet. 7:34. All right. Give me 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. I'm gonna tell these kids my kid's not here. Do 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 do. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Hope it wasn't too long. It's pretty cool though that my kid discovered that there's kids his age in the neighborhood, and now they want to play with him. So it's really cool. Anyways, yeah. So that's the gun bill thing. I don't know. I'm very curious. I wonder if they would knock on my door. I don't know if they do. Would they need reason to believe that you have a mental illness or that you shouldn't have a gun, and so they just target people, or do they just are going to go to everyone's doors? I don't know. Very interesting. How do I feel about it, real quick? I guess, yeah, like I said before, like if they tighten it up and they figure out who has a mental illness, who is proven to be violent or whatever, and then they can have means to confiscate your gun, sure. But if they're just going like door to door, they're just going to random people who they think might have a mental illness, I think that's a little bit fucked up. So, yeah. 7:34. Or it's like later than that. 7:36 now. Just wanted to go over one last thing I found on Facebook that I thought was kind of funny, that I thought I would bring up here, which is really just kind of stupid, and we don't really have it. Jesus Christ. We don't really have a subject. It was just kind of going off. Today I'm doing solo. I usually have Loreline here with me, but Loreline's doing overtime at work, and so she's lurking in the chat. And I'm going solo. So yeah, I guess I have. There's this thing that happened on Facebook. It was kind of cool, kind of funny. That I was participating in. It was a meme where it said, "Black people, if you had one question to ask white people, here you go. Keep it nice." And I thought I'd read some of the questions that were kind of funny. Of course, now I can't find it. Let me just real quick go to my profile, see if I can find it. Here we go. No, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. Okay, so the meme goes, "Okay, black people, ask white people one question you always wanted to know." I think it would be funny. Maybe it's just going to be stupid and a waste of time, but let's do it anyway. Why do y'all kids be 65 years old and still in a stroller? Why do y'all investigate noises in scary movies when we're running away? Yeah. Why is apple butter so delicious, and how long were y'all expecting to keep it a secret? Why do y'all have Civil War reenactments but tell us to get over slavery? Yeah, that is a weird one. I think it's gonna be very hard to explain that one. A lot of people just want to keep history intact and keep people informed, and I think reenactments are kind of silly to begin with because it's not really what happened. Like, however that event happened, like you playing as the soldier in that event didn't actually happen in the past, so it's not really. I mean, I get it. Like, it's just the simple fact that, oh yeah, this happened and this is how it ended up, but I don't know, very hard. I'm gonna try to move on. What beat are y'all hearing? The hell is a pinch of salt supposed to do? Yeah. Which one of y'all is Becky? Why do y'all put Donald Trump in office? Honestly, for me, see you at home soon. We'll see you soon. For me, the whole Donald Trump in office thing, I didn't vote. I didn't vote for in that election, which a lot of people are going to be angry about. But to kind of like give an idea of how I felt about it, it was kind of like a big joke. Like, wouldn't it be funny? And then it got to a point where it's like, okay, joke's over, but then people kept going. Like, Trump supporters are like, yeah, let's keep going. I'm like, no, it's supposed to be a joke. Stop it now. Like, what's up with letting dogs kiss y'all on the mouth? Why didn't y'all tell us asparagus makes your piss stink? I thought I had STD until my white friend told me that about that veggie. Who invented the damn green bean casserole? Why do you judge us collectively and want us to judge you individually? Ooh. I try not to judge a lot of people. This person says, I personally freaking love white people as a whole. If one has ever approached me with hate, my feelings of anger are only toward that person, not everyone. Love y'all. Why do you raid the world? Why do you raid the world of spices and then never use them? that's a good one. Why do y'all smell funny when you're wet? I don't know. On the show House Hunters HGTV, how the hell are you guys getting approved for $1 million home loans with jobs like butterfly refugee and caseworker and part-time heirloom tomato therapist? Why do you guys vacation with the grandkids, your ex, and their new spouse? I don't know. What goes? What does golly gee willikers mean? Golly gee willikers. Julie's give you some kind of superpower because every white person I know have a pair, and it's Birkenstocks. Just kind of funny. I thought that would be kind of funny to share with you guys. Obviously, I have lost everyone now. Nobody's listening. I only had Loreline, and we had a Bling Headshot come in. That was pretty cool. Thanks for the follow, Bling Headshot. Again, we're here Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We were on YouTube, but guess what? We're back on Twitch because YouTube is nothing but a bunch of crickets. A bunch of crickets! I'm trying to do my Rick voice. It's not working. Anyways, thanks everyone who stuck along with me on these series of rants. If you like what you hear, please follow and subscribe and like all our tracks and our videos and everything. We are on YouTube. Obviously, I'm going to be putting this video up on YouTube. We're going to go back to the old platform where we stream live here on Twitch. We'll post the video on YouTube, and then we'll take the audio from the episodes and put them on our platforms: Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, and SoundCloud. SoundCloud's the big one. That's the one that RSS feeds everything to all the platforms. It was a good, interesting, and new experience doing this solo. Might do it again in the future. Don't know. I didn't have a lot of people here to tell me whether it went good or not. Of course, Loreline is, but that's because I'm married to her. Anyways, everyone, if you loved it, please give us a like and follow and subscribe. Also, we have a merch store. We have a merch store. Teespring.com/store/the Nevermind podcast, or the NVM podcast. You can find our old school logo on some shirts. You can see our new school logo on stuff. We have our Musty mug, a very famous Musty mug. Go ahead and check it out. If you don't know who Zombiefoot Gaming is, by the way, you should really check him out because he is one awesome dude. He is our first fan, and he has helped us a lot. He's our friend from Britain, and he's on Twitch, Instagram, and also he has a channel, Zombiefoot J. It says Zombiefoot Gaming. That was the old name. It's now Zombiefoot J. J-A-Y. Zombiefoot J-A-Y. You can check out his Instagram, Musty Goose. Very awesome, educated, intellectual person. Man can talk. He has a beautiful voice. I love him so much. We just sent him our poster that he won in a contest here, or whatever you want to call it, here on the podcast that we did. If you want what the poster that he had, it's on the merch store. Otherwise, everybody, I love having you here. I love talking to you. I love ranting. Please come back next Thursday, 6 p.m. here to the Twitch channel. Twitch channel, not YouTube anymore. No YouTube right now. We're back to Twitch. We're back here on Twitch. I'm going to change some things. I'm going to change the offline banner. And yeah. Otherwise, if you just want to hear the beautiful voice of King Court 1 or Loreline, you can check us out on Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iTunes. I personally listen to all my podcasts on iTunes. I listen to the Joe Rogan Experience. I listen to WTF. I listen to the Bill Burr Show. the Bill Burr Show. And I also listen to my podcast just to hear how stupid it is on iTunes. If you want to give us a suggestion or even just say hi, you can comment on the iTunes, on the Instagram, on got to my car now. Okay, cool. On the Twitter, the Facebook, or the SoundCloud, or any of that stuff. Go ahead, comment. We've got the Discord as well. You guys can give us topic suggestions, or if you would like to be a guest on the next episode, just let us know and let us know what you want to talk about. We'll put you on. We'll put anyone on. If you're gonna be mean, if you're gonna be ridiculous, if you're gonna be a troll, we'll obviously take you off. But if you have a legit suggestion or you just want to talk to your favorite podcaster, go ahead and give us a comment on any of those platforms or the Discord, and we'll let you in. We can do voice through the Discord, or we can even do Skype. We'll throw you up here on the background and do Skype like we did with Musty in the last episode. I think that's about all I could talk about. I don't know anything else I could say. I usually have Loreline here to help me, so. But I actually kind of had a fun time, other than the neighbor kids interrupting. I had a fun time talking to myself, talking to the few people who were here, and I enjoyed it. So please come back, check us out. Anytime here on the Twitch, we got the videos. We got all the videos on YouTube, all the past episodes on YouTube, and we have all the past episodes audio files on all the other audio platforms. Check those out. Check out the merch store. Just a little quick comment. I would actually like a little bit more interaction with the viewers and listeners. So if you guys could leave comments or likes or whatever, tell me how I'm doing. Tell me what you don't like. Give me some constructive criticism, or even if you just want to chat, or like I said before, try to get on the show. Let me know. And I also would love to be on anyone else's show. Zombiefoot Gaming, or Zombiefoot J, has a podcast with 5 other guys called My Guys here on Twitch, and it's one of the best podcasts I've ever seen on Twitch, and it's hilarious. And I personally would like to guest on their show, and I would like maybe for them to guest onto mine, or just one of the other guys would like to come over to my podcast. That being said, I love you all. I'm just dragging this on. It's probably terrible to listen to if you haven't already switched off of it. Check out all that stuff. I wish you all have a beautiful day. Here's the outro now. Have a beautiful day. Love you. Bye.
For today, we're talking about Mars. We're talking about Mars. And he's like, ah! I shouldn't do that. I could have gone more, but I'm just gonna end it there.
That's pretty good. I'm just going to say something that might piss off a lot of people.
Yeah.
I feel like the pork tastes just like the chicken.